Joe Burrow is out for the remainder of this season and what's being determined as a torn ligament in his throwing wrist. And we're here to talk to our New York Post NFL writer and reporter, Ryan Dunleavy, to break it all down. Ryan, how you doing, man?
Good. What's up?
Nothing much. So, this is obviously a huge injury. Joe Burrow is one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. He carries that Bengals team. But I wanted to talk to you about how this impacts this Bengals team in the AFC North and the playoff picture. Can you just describe the impact this kind of injury has now for this team?
Yeah, in a word, finished. That's how I would describe it. I mean, this is a team I picked to win the Super Bowl in the post preseason. I had a Jets Bengals AFC Championship. I'm not sure either team's going to make the playoffs. Uh, Look, you only get so many windows, right? Like ask Dan Marino or Jim Kelly or you know the guys who have come, Aaron Rodgers. You only get so many windows. And even though it feels like you might have 20 years or 15 years with a franchise quarterback, you don't. And this is a season where the Bengals had Super Bowl talent. They got off to a bad start because Burrow had a calf injury, and now they're going to finish probably under 500 because Burrow has this wrist injury. So basically, what it does is it takes a team that was a Super Bowl contender and knocks them right out of the playoffs. It takes the AFC North, which had a chance probably to be the first division ever with four teams
Mm.
finishing above 500. And now you can almost pencil in for sure that the Bengals are going to come in last in that division. That's how important quarterback is in the NFL. That's how important Joe Burrow, one of the five best quarterbacks, is in the NFL.
Burrow signed a massive extension this past offseason, making him one of I believe, the highest paid player in the NFL. I mean, he clearly is. He makes everything. He makes that team go. So the big thing everyone's talking about is coming into Thursday night's game. Burrow was seen coming off the plane with a compression sleeve on his throwing hand. He said it's a completely different injury. This completely different thing. It's not uncommon for guys to wear compression sleeves on the plane when you go up to the altitude. Things can swell up. This is a completely new injury in football. If you have a lot of bumps and bruises, this is a completely new injury. So, Ryan, I got to ask you, the Bengals got to be under storm here a little bit and a little bit of fire from the NFL for not talking about this injury that Joe Burrow, or reporting this injury that Joe Burrow had this week. And do you believe, Burrow, that this is a completely different injury?
I believe him that it's common for guys to wear stuff on planes where altitude changes. I call BS on the fact that the injury had no sign of happening before the game. He has to say that the Bengals could be looking at a massive fine or loss of draft pick here. I mean, there's only a couple ways to really to really anger the NFL, and now you're dragging in betting and fantasy football and all those people because that's what the injury report is for. You could say it's for competitive advantage. It's always been for wagering and for fans. And now you're angering all those people because you weren't honest with your injury report. And now you're angering other coaches. So now another coach is going to say, wait a minute, why do I have to report my injuries? I've been playing by the rules and it puts me at a competitive disadvantage. So you're pissing off your peers and you're pissing off gamblers. The league is not going to be happy about that. I heard that they're going to look at practice film footage. It reminds me of when a couple years ago during COVID, they were requesting team hallway footage to snoop on the teams to see who was really wearing the masks. We're going to find out if he was wearing something during practice, during the closed part of practice. I think it's probably a injury that was pre-existing, that was exaggerated, that got much worse here, Ryan, and they're probably looking at some sort of penalty for the Bengals.
Yeah, that's it. To your point, it affects more than just the game itself. It affects gambling, it affects fantasy football, and that's $1 billion industry right there that you're
and they
talking
and
about.
they have to cut it off now because let's not forget Arthur Smith with the Falcons kind of played with the injury report with Bijan Robinson not reporting an illness a couple weeks
Mhm.
ago. So now this is two examples. The league is going to see that as we got to cut this off right now.
Yep, great point there, Ryan. Finally, I want to talk about the current state of the AFC. You mentioned it, the AFC North. It looked like there was going to be four playoff teams. All four teams are going to make the playoffs. But then you see Deshaun Watson now is out for the season. Joe Burrow is out for the season. Lamar got banged up a little bit last night. He lost his star tight end, Mark Andrews. And then you think about the Bills, they're struggling in the AFC East. I mean, Ryan, set the record and set the table here a little bit for the AFC playoff picture. It feels like this is wide open a little bit here.
So there's no winners in an injury situation, but the teams that come out the best here are Kansas City, because the one team Kansas City had to fear a little bit in the playoffs would have been Cincinnati. Joe Burrow's beaten Mahomes 3 times, including in the playoffs. That's the one team that has no fear of Kansas City over this mini dynasty they built. So they come out probably feeling like their biggest competitor got knocked out. And then the AFC East, whether it's the Bills or the Jets or the Dolphins, I'm going to say are probably going to win the division. But that there's now probably a second team in the AFC East. Maybe it's Buffalo, maybe it's the Jets, who can stake a claim to that 7 seed, which probably would have been Cincinnati's. You're probably going to get 2 teams in from the AFC East now. So puts a lot of pressure on Sunday's Jets-Bills game.
You got that right, Ryan. And thank you as always for breaking down all this latest news. This Burrow injury obviously was a big blow to the Bengals and the AFC playoff picture, but appreciate you as always for giving us your insight.
Thanks for having me.